What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be checking out MSTR and Bitcoin today. You can see that on the week we closed at 170.5, and post market right now it's currently at 170.19. So nothing too crazy just yet. I mean, it's only been 10 minutes since the close on the day and on the week as well. As you can see, the past 4 weeks have been pretty much in the same direction. And if we measure it from the top here, down 44 and then 43.3 if you take into account these four here. The most recent ones, we were talking about, we had 2 points that we mentioned prior of quick moves. One was here. Once we break and hold there, we could have a clean move to the downside because of the traffic here on the left hand side. And then we said the exact same thing for this upcoming move here. Break, retest, and potentially having a quick move because it was similar to this one over here. And we ended up getting that fast, rapid move over the past week and a half. You can see going from, or I guess if you say 2 weeks, from 250 to 166. So we are now at the key level right here. That was previous resistance. As you can see, we pushed up, found that ceiling, broke through it, and now we are back at the ceiling and actually back underneath it. If you look very closely, it closed. If this target is completely accurate, it just closed back underneath the structure. So let me actually darken the, or make this gray here. So we are underneath the structure. So the next thing that we could expect would be potential retest. It doesn't even have to happen, as you can see on this last one here. We even really get the retest. We fell through, tried to retest. We didn't even have enough momentum on the bullish side to push up to the structure at 221. We pushed up to 213, and that was as far as it could even try to retest the structure, and then continue following down. And now we're kind of looking at the same thing here. Got the close. Next week we're looking for a potential move up to, I mean, really just move up to at least 171 to around 183 for the retest. And then if we hold that continuation down and we take a look to the left hand side, you have a clean move again, just like we had over these two areas over here. We have it once again. You can see clean move here on the left hand side, clean move here, and this one looks practically the same, just on a larger scale. And that would take us down to a major zone of accumulation, which takes you back to this 2021 previous high. That was made at around 130. That's the level we could be looking at. And if you pull a fib on this entire move here, we're currently at around the 786 for the pullback. That would be the 786 for this entire leg here. Let me move this over here because I'm going to use this. Here we go. We're going to do the same thing here. See what we did last cycle. We pushed well past the 786. So just in reference to the last cycle, we're currently, remember this is just speculation. This doesn't have to actually happen. So take it with a grain of salt. But we are in this area right here, where if we touched this zone, we would be right in this area. But we're somewhere in between here. So the 786 would be in that area, and it ended up falling halfway between the 886 and the 1. So if I show you that again, you get an idea of what that would look like if we did the exact same thing. Of course, like I said, it doesn't have to happen. The 786 is over here, like I said, which we haven't even touched yet. 786 is over here, and we're in between the 618 and 786. And the previous cycle we finished somewhere, we'll just call it there in the middle for that cycle. Not saying that it's going to happen because that's a really far way down. In reference to the last cycle, That's where we finished. According to the fib, finished between the 886 and the 1. That would be crazy if that happened. Major discount and a good opportunity to accumulate for the next cycle. But I don't know if that's going to happen because the market cap's a lot larger than it once was, and that would take roughly another 78%. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be an insane, crazy opportunity. Currently at 170 and Bitcoin's at 84. So it all depends on how far down Bitcoin goes. If we relate the Bitcoin drop to the 2019 one, then it's probably not going to be as severe, but we'll of course see. And when you overlay this move from over here, I mean, there's no ignoring it at this point, guys. It's practically the same move. The second part hasn't really happened yet, because if it were to play out exactly the same, that means we're still missing some kind of relief rally, like a dead cat bounce, that we're missing to, I guess, suck people in at the last second before another fall off. I don't think this is going to happen, but I was just like this 36. I don't think it's going to happen, but hey, you never know. Crazier things have happened, right? Like we were super bullish up until we started breaking underneath this point and seeing that divergence from Bitcoin, and that's where we started to get a little more bearish, as you can tell on the channel. Not bearish on it long term, but yeah, midterm, short to midterm, I have been. It doesn't change my long term outlook. I still think next cycle you'll be able to see higher prices. It's just going to require a lot of patience and understanding what you're holding. But if we were to play out exactly like last cycle, that means we get some kind of push up and then a fall off. And that move there, I'm going to pull a fib there because it was off of this leg here. And we're going to pull it for this move there. So it pushed up to the 382 and then continued moving downward. And we're going to do the same thing here and see what would it look like if we saw something similar. So if, for instance, let's say this is our theoretical bottom, I don't know when the bottom for our relief rally would be. If this was our theoretical bottom and it was a relief rally to come for a continuation down, the 382 sitting at 275. So in theory, that means we would look at something like this right here and then continue bleeding. Of course, it changes if this continues to fall down. Maybe we don't even get a relief rally. That's also a possibility. But let's say we go all the way down here before seeing the relief rally. Then the relief rallies to 235 if it lands at the 382. It's a bunch of ifs, you know, because we really don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, we're just riding the momentum right now on MSTR and Bitcoin. And this is why we never say that you know what's going to happen, because who would have known that would happen so quick, right? And we're not going to pretend like we know. Sometimes we have an idea or a guess, you know, and the odds are in our favor, but that doesn't mean we know what's going to happen. Also, we have touched 84. We're currently at 84. We touched 80,500, which actually lines up with the tops over here from the 2021 high, the double top, to the March peak over here, and to the April bottom. You can see that lineup. So if we were to lose that and hold underneath on the weekly, expect a retest and then probably further downside. Hopefully that's the bottom, and then we can start pushing higher, because that is a major level of support right there. So we don't want to lose that. But if we do lose it, then you have to start talking about the possibility of a move further down. And the recovery would be pretty insane if you actually see that from the bottom to all-time highs would be a 57% move. And it's currently down Well, it dropped 36, currently down 33 from all-time highs, which happens, that's not anything out of the ordinary for Bitcoin. You can see it's pushed down to 32% before actually making a new high. So there's some hope right there if you can see that. And it happened over here as well, where we actually fell 33% and then started pushing higher and using this level as support and still pushing higher. We're still above that level currently as we speak. We just have to understand that we are in November, the end of November. In terms of time, this theoretical top makes sense in October. We can't rule it out. We have to just be open to the idea. And if you're not, then you'll get crushed. It is what it is. But it'll teach you a lesson to be open to both sides and different ideas. On the monthly, the 20, you can see we still have 9 days left. So we'll see where we finish there. But if we finish underneath, it's going to be the same concept that we always talk about. We're going to be looking for a retest, a relief rally to come back to the 20. If we were to close underneath it, doesn't have to play out like that. This thing could rip to the upside quickly. But push up to the 20 month and then continue down to further targets. And the larger warning sign was breaking underneath that 50 week, which we were talking about in the other video. Because when that does happen, we've seen some pretty significant moves to the downside. Like over here, you can see that. We do get like fake outs and stuff. It does happen, but they're usually short term moves. You can see that. We didn't even get a candle close underneath it, really. We had that partial close, and you can't even really call it that. And you had one over here, which started a major move to the downside. You had the fake out here, but it was a really sideways chop, nothing too catastrophic after. And then you had one over here as well. So really three times where we broke it, it turned out to be something severe. And then we had this time here, which was a fake out. And like I said, so 3 out of the 4 times that we actually broke underneath this, you can see what ended up playing out after the fact, breaking this 50-week moving average. So you have one for one to the downside, 1 for 2, because this one kind of went sideways, chop. You still saw a little bit of downside, and then 2 for 3 here, and then 3 for 4. So 75% odds right now that breaking of this, you see major downside. And we already have seen that as we speak, because we are down from the break. We're down 21% from this break of the 50 week. So I don't want to be the super bearish guy. I know people don't like that because they want things to go up forever, but that's just not how the market goes. And if you don't understand that, then your account will be affected by your decisions. Global liquidity on the 12-week, it still looks pretty solid, running up, and we kind of found a little bit of a support here off of this previous high here. Kind of created a head and shoulders, but we didn't see any downside just yet. Still early on, but it's kind of going sideways at the time. We'll see if we actually see another upside. We'll probably see a mass run up in global liquidity if the Fed starts to increase their balance sheet. So apparently in December they should be stopping QT, but not exactly starting QE either. But the market could be already factoring that in, and there's a lot of things that go into it, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now. On the weekly RSI, we're almost in oversold territory. Overall we are oversold because we're underneath the 50, so we are in the bearish territory. We haven't hit the actual oversold number at 30, but we're sitting at 35, which is a pretty decent move to the downside. When you take a look at recent times, all of our major bottoms, you can see this bottom over here, looks like we pushed down a little bit further to 26, and then by the time we actually found our bottom, we're sitting at around where we're currently at. Over here, this bottom was around 33.7. This one was around 30 or 29. So you can see that we have seen these levels here on the RSI. This one over here, this bottom was at 44. So we're definitely in a key spot for a turnover to the upside if we see it. If we don't see it, then it's just gonna be a continuation, and we'll probably see further deviation to the downside and start to break past these recent lows, which would show a lot of strength to the downside. In terms of the weekly, we were expecting, or I'm sorry, in terms of the monthly, we were expecting some kind of move to these highs over here. Right now, it looks like we didn't get that. We're expecting a move to this area right here, somewhere along the line, depending on if we hit it up there or maybe we hit it later. I don't know. But that's what we were expecting because we had the highs slowly dropping. So we were expecting some kind of move like that for our RSI. We haven't seen that. We've actually just been more in line with this same idea of the triple top, but on a smaller scale over here is kind of what we've been seeing. So we've been seeing it over here off of this. That's kind of where we've been seeing our triple top, starting from March. So that's a crazy deviation on the monthly. When you take a look, actually, that's actually insane. The deviation that you can see here, you can see that from March, the price has essentially just gone upward, right? But you can see from March, the strength has only been weakening. So that's a major deviation. So we'll see if that momentum continues now, or if this is going to be a quick turnaround. On the MACD, we're still in bullish territory, but we just got our first red flip in a long time. The last time that we actually saw a red flip was the start of the crash in 2022. Not to scare anybody, but I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. That's pretty much it. That's all I do on this channel. I don't try telling you exactly what's going to happen. I'm just showing you what I see, and this is what I see right now. So it could mean something. It couldn't mean something. I don't know. We'll see. But you can see that that was the other time that we saw a crash, and the time before that, when we zoom in, was over here. And what did we get there? 2018. So actually, the three, or the last two bears, when they began, were right at the red flip. Let me zoom in though. So right at the red flip, that's when we got our major move to the downside, the 18 bottom, going into 19 for the upside. And then, of course, like I said, 22, you got the red flip here. That's when we began our descent. And now we just got another flip to the downside, red. And we'll see where it goes from there. But if you're looking at history, then you kind of already know what this is indicating. But that's the monthly MACD, so keep an eye out on that. And on the weekly, we're already building a lot of momentum to the downside. It's slowly increasing, and we just hit the bearish territory currently. So we'll see where we go from there. And there's also deviation on this one as well. You can see the upside here. You can see that price was pushing upward. You can see, let me make it a different color. So you can see that upside there. And then on the MACD, you can see the strength already dwindling down. So price is increasing while the strength is decreasing. So that was a red flag. And now we're actually seeing the move itself. MSTR divided by IBIT is playing out exactly like we spoke about at almost every single level that we had drawn out. I mean, these levels were drawn out back over here before we even started breaking this upward sloping trend line. And they have all played out perfectly. We said a quick move here, a quick move here. We'd probably see a quick one from this point to around 319. If we fall underneath 309, a quick move down to 236. We got our close, retest, and now we're continuing the downside. We were talking about that, or we were saying MSTR is going to more than likely continue to underperform Bitcoin, and it's probably a better time to get Bitcoin if you wanted to protect yourself from downside. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. So the next level to watch here would be around this level over here. We could see a rapid move to around that 310 mark, 320 mark, somewhere in here. And the same thing, we're looking for either some chop for a double bottom. If that doesn't play out, then we're looking for a close underneath, retest, continuation down, just like we saw over here, time and time again. Because that's what we were saying once we broke this structure over here. We're looking for a break, close, retest, hold, and we'll see the next structure potentially. It increases your odds, and that's what we're currently in the middle of as we speak. Tether dominance. I definitely was not expecting tether dominance to break like this to the upside. This is pretty steep move to the upside, so we'll see if we can get a move back, because it's already created this first steep upward slope, and we have this second one, and then it's actually creating a third angle that's just insanely vertical. So it can easily break that and see downside, which would be bullish for Bitcoin. And maybe that ties into that relief rally that I was talking about before, seeing more downside if it happens. And we adjusted the blue line. So maybe we did see a touch. I tried lining it up, and it kind of makes sense, I guess. Still couldn't get the touch over here on this one, because it would be too deep into a lot of these candles and stuff, so I kind of left that one space. But these made sense. All of these pretty much made sense. So for now, we'll see if we actually get another touch. Because the other thing we were talking about was potentially seeing a double bottom, just like this one over here, but it looks more like one of these moves over here, or like this one over here. So we're going to be watching tether dominance still. Got to clean up these charts, because now we're at completely different levels that I was not anticipating. I was not ready for a move like this to the upside. So that's kind of where we're at with this level over here in reference to these previous rejection areas. We had rejection here, here, and here. And now we're actually breaking that. And in 2 days, if we hold above 6.227, then now we could potentially be coming back for a retest for more upside, which would be bearish. But that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We have some minor levels, of course, as well along the way. And that's kind of where we're seeing resistance, actually. If I were to drag this level all the way across here, it's very, very small, but you can see that that's where we're finding that rejection currently. If we close above that as well, then when you take a look to the left-hand side, there's actually a clean move, which could indicate even more downside, unfortunately. Not saying that we're going to see 8.5 on tether dominance, but in terms of TA alone, yeah, it could happen, because, like I said, it could be a clean move. If we hold and close above where we're currently at on this wick, like 6.75 or something, retest, we could see a clean move all the way up, which would mean more downside. And I don't even know. I don't think we'd even break past this. I mean, maybe it's possible, but I would imagine that that's probably the top, or I'm sorry, the bottom on Bitcoin if we touch this structure over here. Remember, these moves take plenty of time too, so it could play out like that. And on the monthly, like I said, we have 9 days, so we want to see it close back underneath. But if we hold it, then kind of expect what I was talking about. And we can actually see it, probably the structure a little bit better here on the monthly. It's a little bit cleaner. That's kind of where we're finding our rejection currently. So like I said, above this wick would be the ideal zone if you wanted to see upside for tether dominance. The ideal zone to close underneath would be around 6. So if you want to see Bitcoin seeing some upside, that would be closing underneath here, retesting and falling further down. That would be upside for Bitcoin. And downside would be closing underneath the structure, retesting, and then having that clean move when you look at the left-hand side to the upside, which would bring significant downside for Bitcoin. Pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Where do you think we're at in the cycle? Is this going to be an extended cycle, or is this one going to be different? Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one.